Greetings, Patrick here. Have Cheetah will view a questions with, and welcome to Wednesday. Uh, yeah, uh, it's a cold, chipper day here in southeastern Michigan, and glad you guys are here with us. Thank you those who showed up yesterday for our interview with Jamie Hart. We had an awesome time, great interview, and it is up right now. You guys can check that out. Today we are doing a double header. We're doing two shows today. That's right. Today we're the first up is Mike Zahra from Did You See That? He's a fellow film community channel. I'm not necessarily would call him a horror channel. I would call him a movie channel for sure. And he does cover a lot of really fun movies. He covers both great movies like Wheezy Shark 2, and then he also covers a lot of mainstream movies as well. Um, so I'm really happy to have him come on the show. He also interviews people as well. In fact, me and the Cheetah have been over there twice on his channel. Had a great time both times. We had a fantastic time, and so we definitely thought it was more than time to have Mike come over here, and we're going to talk English cinema. And we're going to talk about movies of the year. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of cool things. He's very easy to talk with, and he's like I said, he's an interviewer as well. So we're going to be talking to him about that as well, about see what if he's see kind of interview how he prepares his interviews, how he gets his guests, how he decides. Um, all fascinating things. His channel is one of the coolest channels out there too. He just recently crossed over 2,000 subs. He's on his way to 2,200 even as we speak. So that's his channel is very healthy and doing very well. And then tonight at 8 o'clock, we will be back here with the members of the Variant, the Variant Collective. They are, we'll have RJ, and I'm not even sure who he's bringing. I know he said he's bringing a small army with him. I told him that we have 9 slots. They have 9 slots. So I'm not sure who we're getting on here to join us. I think the last I saw, we might have as many as five variant members, so it'll be a total of 6. So I will be running a panel interview type deal. We'll be asking various questions of the panel. Like I said, I don't know who anybody who else is going to come over other than RJ. And I sort of did that on purpose, actually. Um, I want it to be 100% organic. I've ran across the variant and their work uh, after I interviewed Vale. Vale was on the show and she did some photography with the variant, and I peeked around their Instagram channel, and I was just really intrigued by it. And RJ is a really cool dude, and they got some fire going on, and they're doing something right now. They have a couple of things in the fire. It's a collective. There's no just one person. This one person's not the variant. There are multiple people, photographers, writers, poets, cosplayers, all sorts of creatives. Hey, Jaden, how are you? I see you down there. So we're going to be having them come on, and we're going to be talking to them about their creative journey. And I'm very excited to talk to the variant. This is to me, I love cosplay. I mean, I might not do it myself, but I love looking at it. I think it's really cool and it's really imaginative and it's super creative, and I'm all about it. Um, and so, yeah, I sort of poke around and try to find some really cool cosplayers to talk to. Um, and you got to sort of book them as you would an actor, because they themselves are, for a lot of conventions, cosplay is major. It's a major attraction. It used to be just something you would see at a convention floor. You see someone dressed up like a character, and you wouldn't give it a second thought, other than that's a really cute costume, or that's a really inventive costume. But now cosplay has become so big that there's conventions for cosplay itself. Cosplayers conventions. Plus, some of the more well known ones get invited to come to conventions. I'm not sure if Vale is one of those, but I'm sure she is. But I do think the variant is as well. So we'll be talking to them about that, how they go into preparation and how they come out with the things that they do. Um, like I said, just a whole bunch of talent in a really cool, always fluid, always movement, or moving. It's always fluid. It's always going someplace. It's never just one person in one place. There could be photography going on in one part of the town. It could be a convention in another part of the town. Could be someone shooting photos in another part of town. All of the variant. So that will be tonight at 8 o'clock, right after we get done with Mike and our chat. And then tomorrow we have filmmaker Marissa Vaughn will be with us, and we'll be talking to her about she got her roots in Iowa. She just released her film Knee High, so we'll be talking to her about that. And I saw on her I think I saw it on her Facebook page that her viewing for her movie played at her local theater and sold out. Uh, that's always cool to see. I always get tickled by that when a filmmaker, a local filmmaker, gets their movie done and then gets to show it on the big screen. Um, and most of the time, the movie always sells out. It's sort of like a live show. It's like a concert, like a band. When a band plays their first show, everybody and their grandmother will show up to support the first show, and that's awesome, and it gives you the band a lot of creative energy to feed off of. Like, holy cow, we have 300 people to watch us. That's amazing. Of course, it's not always going to be that way necessarily, but it gives you a good idea what you can achieve. It's out there. The possibilities are out there that you could achieve that. And the same thing with any filmmaker. They rent out a 300-seat theater. They tell their friends. They get the charge at the door, and they sell 300 tickets. There's nothing more satisfying to sit there and see, a sign out there saying sold out, no more tickets. That's amazing. That's so much fun, and it creates a buzz. And if you're a smart theater owner, if you're a smart one, and you see that, you go ahead and you try to make sure that the filmmaker gets another viewing, he gets another night. Um, because you don't want to turn away anybody. You don't. Hey, if you want to see the movie, well, guess what? We're gonna add a screen on tomorrow, and you guys can all come over and watch the movie and support it. So we'll be talking to Marissa Vaughn tomorrow, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Uh, so I'm like I said, I'm pretty jazzed up with this week. It's a lot of fun. Um, we have other shows coming up as well. I'm working on January right now. January is a little bit of a slog right now. I think a lot of people are just be coming off the hangover of the holidays and whatnot, and so it's a little bit sluggish to get some bookings in. But we'll do it. We'll get it going on. Yes. We also have to talk about this, which was very shocking, to say the least, and very heartbreaking. Of course, the passing of actor Andre Braugher, one of our finest actors in our generation. Uh, it's funny. I've been seeing him. I see everybody talk about him with his role in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I'm sort of just I know he did. I know it was a big hit. I know he was acclaimed for that, and it was funny, and it ran for 5 years, and everything else. But I'm sort of disappointed at the same time that's how people remember him from. Um, Andre Braugher did a lot of important series. He was on Law and Order. He was also on he's also on Homicide: Life on the Street. His theatrical film, his film career included roles in Glory. In fact, that was his first role, was Glory, which is a fantastic film, utterly, completely fantastic, and he absolutely shined in that movie. He also was in one of the best World War II movies ever made, and that was the Tuskegee Airmen, where he played General Benjamin Davis. I, well, he might have not have been general then, but he was later. Benjamin Davis. He also played Benjamin Davis. Um, so I just remember him from his serious roles. Of course, it probably doesn't help that I haven't seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know it was funny. That's the only thing I know it was funny. Um, and because they had Andy Samberg in it, and he's goofy as hell. But as far as that goes, I never really watched an episode. So I know. What can I say? I just didn't. I just never watched it. But I do remember seeing Andre Braugher in a lot of different things, and he always excelled in every role that he was in. Um, so I mean, it's gonna be it's gonna be really really cool. Really really cool. Oh, Mike's popping me. It's gonna be really cool to see what people have to say, and hopefully go back to recover and discover Andre's work. He passed away, obviously, but his name and his work will never. He'll always be immortal because of his work. Um, Gone too soon. He's only 61. He's only a couple years older than me. It just said that he died of a brief illness. That could be almost anything. It doesn't really matter how he passed away. It's just that he's gone too soon. But like I said, he left a body of work behind that's outstanding and very much worth looking up and adding to your own collection if you can. Uh, See, this is one of the reasons why you try to get physical media, so you can go out there and grab movies by such actors such as Andre Braugher. And I'm thinking about Movie Bay right now, the YouTube channel Movie Bay. And I'm thinking right now, I bet he's putting together his Andre Braugher collection, and he'll probably have that up sooner than later. Um, but yeah, his if you go to his IMDb page, you can see all the things that he's done. Um, I'll be honest with you, I always knew Andre Braugher as a dramatic actor. Everything I ever saw him in was dramatic. And so, to see the acclaim that he got for being having a light touch, comedian touch, I think it's going to be really interesting to see. Uh, it will be. It'll be new to me as well. But I'm just curious though, to everybody who's watching this, like, what was your favorite Andre Braugher role? I mean, what was it? I mean, doesn't matter if it was Brooklyn Nine-Nine or not. But I'd love to see some of your comments down below, as well as our chat with Mike. But I'd like to know what your thoughts are. What was your favorite role that Andre Braugher did? Um, and yeah, that would be cool. Uh, let's see what else has happened today. I saw, and then we're going to talk with Mike about this too, because I'm curious about what he thinks about this. But I watched the preview I saw the trailer for the new movie, the new A24 movie next year called Civil War. And I'm watching it, and I have mixed emotions about that movie right now. I'm half of me is like, wow, I'm looking at sort of like an adventure film and whatnot. But I'm also questioning the timing of it. I don't know if I don't know if that's a movie we really necessarily need to see right now, considering that we are indeed walking a very fine edge on Civil War. Um, we could see that. We could see that happen in our country next year. We could actually see civil war in our country next year, depending on the election. That's a scary thought to think. And a lot of people are sitting there saying, "Vote, vote, 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 vote." Um, that might not be enough this time. Voting might not be enough. There might be different steps that we all have to take. And as much as I know people say, "Well, what are you saying?" I think you know exactly what I'm saying. I think you should do exactly what I'm suggesting. Is that's a possibility. You have to consider it. And I'm just a little bit curious to know why it was a good idea to run the movie this year or next year with people already on edge. A movie like that, it could cause a lot of sparks. And I don't necessarily think we need a lot of sparks right now. And if anything, I wish that next year that we would see a ton of fun movies, a ton of comedies. I mean, that's what we need to do. We need to start laughing together and joking together again. I don't necessarily think that we need to see a movie about the potential division of this country. It's not saying that it shouldn't be made or shouldn't be shown by all means, but you have to pick your poison, you know. And I'm not exactly so sure this is something that needs to be released right now. Maybe after the elections. Maybe after the election. I don't know. Will cooler heads prevail or whatnot? But I know a lot of people are going to embrace this movie and they're going to take it to heart. And some of those people scare the shit out of me. Um, all right, Drew is here. Drew is here. Mike will be here any minute. I'm gonna go check out his. I know he will be here. All right. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the headlines. I'm looking at the. Let's see. Yeah, he's showing. He's throwing out his story on Instagram. Thank you so much for that, Mike. I appreciate that. Um, So I'm so glad he's coming on today because I'm definitely going to be not only we're going to be interviewing him, but we're going to get some advice from him as well. His channel has really taken off as of late, and I'm so happy to see that. I'm always happy to see when a fellow YouTuber their channel suddenly just launches. I know the Video Tasty's channel has blown up. I mean, he's racing toward 3,000. I mean, our good buddy Hobbs, he's racing toward 2,000. And the doorbell rang, and that's time for us to go get our guest. Thank you for all for being here, and let's go talk to our good friend Mike from Did You See That? Here we go.
Hey.
Evening, Nate.
Hey,
all right.
Patrick, how are you?
Good, doing good, doing good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hit you right off the bat here.
Okay.
And then we're gonna talk a little bit about how your day was and whatnot. But I just want to throw this at you right away. Did you see did you see the trailer for Civil War yet?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. So I guess Civil War is a movie that was directed by Alex Garland. And it's coming out next spring, and it's portraying a civil war in the United States. And as much as it sounds crazy to say, that's not so far out of our future, Mike. I mean, we could see that next year in our country.
Yeah, especially. I mean, have you guys got elections next year?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be 2024 is going to be a year of. It's going to be so. I don't know. I mean, the only thing. I mean, I think it could be prevented if the courts had the balls enough to stop it. The courts still have enough power to stop it, but every time a court doesn't, it raises the stakes higher and higher. My question to you is, I mean, this has not been just this didn't pop up this year. We've lived like this now for the last 3 years. My question to you is, if you saw a movie like that in Great Britain, when they Civil War in Great Britain, and someone made a movie about it in that situation, in your opinion, do you think it's a smart idea for a studio to release a movie that shows that sort of activity, or would you try, or would you hold it off on showing it until after the elections, as to not to inflame the public?
I think it's a tricky situation, really, because there's positives to the decision. There's also negatives to that same decision as well. Now, of course, we're talking about like the UK here, so of course, US politics and stuff I'm not too familiar with. But like in the UK, for example, Patrick, I would say it depends, right? Because I think a lot of people, when it comes to an election, already have their mind up like which party they're going to vote for. Like here in the UK, you mainly have like two parties a lot of the time. You might have like a Labour Party and you might have a Conservative Party, and then sometimes you might have like a like an independent kind of party as such. But usually you'll have people who might be like a Labour politics, and they've been Labour like politics their entire life. So they whatever movies released or anything, they're always going to have that decision, like who they're going to vote for. Same for Conservative. But you know, like America, there'll probably be some things where news articles, media releases, or in this case, that Civil War movie you mentioned, where it might influence maybe people to take one side over another without reading into the background and what both parties or however many parties are presenting their policies. So I think it really depends. You know, like someone like myself, I would just go into this and just take the movie for what the movie is, and just hopefully enjoy it. I'll be honest, politics I don't really get into a lot. I just like they just do whatever they're doing.
I mean, I know that. I mean, I know the UK has been going through a lot of strife as well. We saw the incident in Ireland about 3 weeks ago where there was a major riot going on. We saw people. We saw a lot of damage, a lot of rioting, and a lot of people, causing mischief. I just feel like I said, it's not like I would sit there and say, don't show the movie. I'm not saying that at all. What I would sit there and say is like, I'm just looking at the timing of the movie. It's like, a lot of times we hear that, we see that like an incident will happen like on a TV show where they'll show a mass shooting. And the thing is, it happens in real life over here. So a network or a studio will withhold that episode for a little while, like for 3 or 4 weeks or a month or whatever, and then show it because everybody's feelings are going to be raw at the time of where you're going to show that episode. It's too much. I just feel like right now, and it's funny because you're sitting there going like, well, yeah, but they're releasing the movie in the spring and the elections are next fall. But that really is not that big of a window, really considering it's not that big of a window. And it's like, and the movie will be talked about. It will inflame the public. I mean, we see the power of film do that. We have seen the power of film, when important movies are made, and it impacts people, a lot of different levels. And I just think sometimes it's good, but sometimes I just feel like maybe there should be just a little bit of caution, a little bit of more thought put into it, before you release it into a public that's really roiled up right now.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think sometimes it might come down to the executives of these studios, instead of having the common sense, as you're saying, Patrick, maybe hold it off a little bit, wait till things calm down, then release it. Some of them might just think, oh, this subject's going to be a hot topic, let's release it and let's just make money,
Right. And to me, it's like, that then the old saying comes up, like, you can't take it with you. You make a lot of money, but what does it matter if you make a lot of money if we do fall into that, and what's that gonna, how's your money gonna help anybody? It's gonna be next to worthless. The movies that we know and that go to, all that's gonna be all disarrayed. It's gonna be all torn apart. We don't need any help pushing us to that cliff. We're doing it ourselves. We need help getting us away from that cliff. To me, I like to see, like I said, I mentioned, I like to see, like, for next year, man, I really like to see a lot more comedies. I'd like to see people actually laugh for a little bit for a change.
Yeah, me too. I think comedies have started to die down a little bit now.
Yeah, we definitely need that back. Let's see, our chat is here. Our good friend Jeff Clark is here. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Hey,
me for president? Sheesh. I think I would be vice president to the Cheetah. Hey, Cole, how are you? Glad you're here.
Hey, Cole, how are you doing?
So how was your day today? I know I hit you with we dropped it with a bombshell, but we'll go ahead and take it back to formula here and sit there and ask you how was your day? How have you been?
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks for having me, Patrick. Really, really do appreciate the invite. So, thank you. Yeah, day's been good. I started off today just chilling a little bit around the house, and then I went to the cinema and saw Die Hard, which is
Awesome.
pretty cool. Which I'd never, believe it or not, I've never seen Die
That's
Hard
right.
before.
What
So
did you think about it?
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. I enjoyed like the action sequences. I like the fact that John McClane was, he wasn't untouchable. Like the story felt realistic.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I quite obviously there's some suspense disbelief to an extent, but yeah, for the most part, enjoyable, fun time, quite violent, gory. Yeah,
Yeah.
quite enjoyed it.
He definitely got his ass kicked throughout that movie.
Right.
The scene where he has to walk across the floor with glass in his feet. Oh, geez.
Mhm.
But is it a Christmas movie?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It's one of those where there's obviously you've seen yourself. There's elements where there's Christmas themes in there, Christmas songs, Christmas decorations, work party, all that kind of stuff. But it's not specifically focused on Christmas. It's
No.
that the action movie takes the precedent with a Christmas backdrop. Whereas like Home Alone, that's set on Christmas.
Right.
Jingle All the Way is about getting an action toy for Christmas. So yes and no, I would say.
I thought the second movie did a little bit more establishing the fact that it was a Christmas movie, and I
Okay.
love the first movie. Man, have you seen the second one though?
No,
Oh,
I've only seen the first one today, and before that I'd seen Die Hard 5, and that's it.
oh, the second one it's really good. It's really good. Holy crow! I actually like the second one a little bit more, and I remember seeing it at the theater, and man, it was a lively theater. I'll tell you that much. People were really engaged with the movie, that's for sure. But I love the first one. The first one's hilarious. Uh, they're gonna need some more helicopter guys.
Yeah.
There's so many. I mean, the one thing about Die Hard, there's so many iconic one-liners, and of course, that was actually
Right.
Alan Rickman's first role.
Wow, I didn't know I didn't realize it was his first role. Wow.
That was his first feature film that he did.
Yeah.
He at the time, I think he'd been known more as a stage actor, and so he ended up doing. He played Hans Gruber, as you saw.
Yeah.
Fantastic villain too. Fantastic villain.
Yeah, I
You
thought
know,
it was a good villain.
I thought that I thought he was really good. I mean, the whole movie was just an absolute. It was absolute fun. But I can't believe he hadn't seen it up until today. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
But you're not alone though, Mike. That's what I was gonna tell you when I saw you say that in your channel. It's like you're not alone because there are movies I haven't seen that everybody else is like I still haven't seen E.T. Holy cow, people say, "You haven't seen E.T., what's wrong with you?" And it's like, I just haven't seen it. Uh,
Well, yeah, it's one of those. I mean, like with ET, I've only ever seen parts of it. I've never seen the full duration of the movie either. So you're not alone.
let's see. Jeff saying here, great movie. Bruce Willis is from my hometown, Penns Grove, New Jersey. Legend of South Jersey, and he said it is not a Christmas movie. But to everybody else, it is. So I I don't know. I never really saw it as a Christmas movie myself. I never really did. I just thought I thought I saw it as an action movie. It was just the only thing that had anything to do with Christmas was that the setting had it was a Christmas party, and that's the only thing I ever saw about it. But the second one is a little bit better in that respect because there. I
Okay.
mean, like he's flying back. Bonnie Bedelia is flying back there to meet him for Christmas. I mean, it's stated it is Christmas. Um, so yeah. And Drew
Okay.
said he saw Napoleon. Let me ask you something because we're talking about some of these great movies and what have you. And I mentioned this to our guest yesterday, Jamie Hart. But are you because the end of the year's coming, and this is like one of my favorite times of the year as far as being a movie fan and a movie channel. People do their top 20s and their bottom 20s. I love reading them. more the bottom 20s than I think the top 20s, because a lot of times the top 20s are just boring as hell. Everybody puts the same damn movies, all these blockbusters. It's like nobody really has any sort of imagination when it comes down to like, yeah, I saw Consecration. That's an awesome movie. No one's gonna put that there. No one's gonna list that there. Okay, I am. That's because I'm cool like that. But and Mike's gonna put it down there too, because I know you've seen that movie, right?
Well, Consecration?
Yeah, you saw that.
No, I remember hearing your thoughts on it, and I was like, yeah, I really want to check that out, and I still do. I just haven't had the chance to check it out yet. Oh.
But do you do a top 20? Do you like doing top 20s, or is it more fun for you to put your 20 favorite, or is it more fun because your channel says, "Did you see that?" And it can be a play on your last name, but it could also be a play on Z, as in Z grade movies. Because I did tell people that you do review good movies. I did watch you watched Wheezy Shark 2, and I applauded you for that. Like will Wheezy Shark make your top 20?
Oh man. So to answer your first part of the question, yeah, I always put those lists together at the end of the year. I always have fun making them, but always have fun making the worst list the most.
Yes, it is. That's the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
The worst movies are so much more fun to read.
Right. Exactly. So I'm not sure if I'll make my worst. I know Cocaine Cougar is going to be on that list, however. That was bad.
Oh yeah. Welcome. Was that your first Dustin Ferguson movie?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look through his full filmography to tell you that. Maybe so. I think
well, before you look at his movie list, just make sure you hadn't eaten anything before you do, so you don't end
up. I will. So I always put those lists together. So this year actually I'm making 4 lists instead of the normal 2. Because I'm going to do my top 10 best and worst of 2023, like everyone else. I'll get to that in a second. But also recently I've released my top 10 first time watches this year of movies not released in 2023.
Right.
So that was a fun one to put together. I've put together the worst one that will be coming on the channel next week. But to answer your second part about the top 10 list, the cool thing is I've been going over like the top 10 movies for the year for me, and my list this year is like, I look at it and I'm like, no one's gonna have a lot of titles on this list. Because
did you include Skinner Morenik on your list?
I haven't seen it.
You're gonna dig it.
Did you like that one?
I did. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. It'll make my top 20. It'll definitely make my top 20.
Wow.
I'm with you. You mentioned one thing that you do, and that's how I do mine, because I don't see enough of the new movies that come out every year to do a 20 list. I just don't do it. I just don't. So what I do is I do the top 20, but I do it with films that are first time watches for me. So that's how I do my top 20 and bottom 10 are the movies that are first time watches. That's why people come in there and say, well, you have movies from 10 years ago on your top 20 list. Yeah, because that's the first time I've ever seen it. So I go on based on what I watched. So it's like that's the reason why they're not every single movie at the theater.
Right.
Plus, I watch a ton of independent movies. I watch a lot of independents. I watch a lot of stuff that people normally here in our community they don't watch.
Right.
Do you like watching movies that people like and discuss? Like like if a big blockbuster drops down, do you feel like you want to jump in on that and be part of that? Like Scream 6. Everybody's talking about Scream 6. Do you like being out there a little bit differently? Like they can everybody can talk about Scream 6 all they want because everybody's doing it. I'm going to go over here and throw them a curveball and talk about a Cocaine Cougar.
Yeah. So a bit of both. Yeah. So for example, I've got a cinema card, and I've always been a fan of cinema since being a kid. Like I always remember growing up, my mum would take me and my brothers on the weekend to the cinema and just, have like a cinema trip, right? Which was really cool. So growing up, and especially as an adult, I've got a cinema card where I can go as many times as I want. You just pay like a monthly fee. So yeah, I do enjoy being in the discussions where it's talking about like a hot topic at the time, for sure. But I don't like getting caught up in it completely. I like knowing the bare bones, being like, right, this has happened. Okay, cool. I'll hear a couple of different opinions. But like you were saying, Patrick, for example, this year when that cocaine cougar dropped, I know straight away, like I know you saw it, but besides that, I was like, probably not many people have seen this movie. So like yourself, like that to me, I would say is more of an independent kind of movie because it's from a small studio that doesn't get the advertisement of, say, like a Universal Pictures, for example.
Right.
So those kind of movies I like seeing and supporting because I'm like, oh yeah, I love that movie. I actually know that was utter garbage. So yeah, I like so like for example on my channel also, I've talked to a director called Oscar Wenman Hyde, and he's an independent filmmaker from England who's made his own movies, funded his own films. His new one coming out like next year. I think he's managed to actually get like some kind of like studio funding as well, which is cool. But I'm always open to talking to independent directors, and like I've got one coming up. A director called George reached out to me personally and said, "Hey, Mike, I made this movie. Would you be kind enough to give your thoughts?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So I'm open to anything, but I like to kind of talk about the stuff that people aren't talking about. Also,
Right. It seems to be that I think YouTube is upset at me. I think
Okay,
I think they're censoring me as I'm looking at the chat. Probably because they didn't
okay,
like my first discussion. Oh, we're still alive. We're still alive, but my noticing that my comments are being hidden. That's it. Good
oh
old
wow,
YouTube. Yeah. But at least they haven't knocked me off, so that's good.
yeah,
Uh, Zoinks. So just for fun, you have to give us a top, but give us one movie on your top 20 and one movie on your bottom 20 that, give us one movie or it was your personal sleeper movie, like the movie you never expected to like as much as you did, and then tell us about a movie that was just god awful, horrible, and that's going to make your bottom 20. And
yeah,
why did it land on the bottom 20?
yeah, definitely. So, okay, I'll start with this. I'll start with the bottom 21 because that's always more fun.
It is more
Um,
fun.
so on the bottom, well, I'll be doing the bottom 10, but bottom 10, is a movie called Bad Things. Have you heard of this one?
I've heard of bad things. Oh yeah.
Heard of it? Okay, yeah. So that movie was on Shudder. So again, like Shudder, although it's a horror streaming service, it's not as big as like a Netflix, Amazon Prime, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I was sent an early screener, and I was told that it was going to be like a female empowerment version, like movie, but it's going to be paying like a lot of homage to The Shining, and I really like The Shining, and female empowerment movie I don't mind as long as it's an entertaining movie and it's it's got a purpose to making the movie, right?
Right.
With that agenda, which is fine as long as you've got a purpose to do it. So anyway, started the movie, and honestly, Patrick, I got 15 minutes in, and I was ready to get the pillow and go to sleep. It was just like the movie itself, without going into too many spoilers for anyone who maybe want to check it out. The actual setting of the movie itself is really cool because it's in this abandoned kind of hotel in this derelict town. It's snowing outside, so the characters are trapped, and you've got that feeling of seclusion straight away as it
Right.
plays out. So I was like, right, this is great, great setup, great opening, great kind of world building environment. It's good, like soaking you into this maybe horror, creepy aspect, and then that's the only interesting thing about the movie.
Uh, is
Um,
that frustrating? That's got to be frustrating too to
it
watch a
is.
movie work hard to set up something cool and just and then just don't can't follow through with it.
Well,
Was
right.
this the UK film?
No, it was shot in Canada, I would like to say.
Okay.
I might be wrong on the location. America, I know America, Canada, one of them. I think what was most disappointing is when you saw the trailer, which I didn't see before going into it, because with Shudder movies, usually if you watch a trailer, you've seen the full film. Um, on the when like you watch a trailer and it has a review on it, it's being like, this is a 5-star movie, this is a must see for audience, that those kind of quotations,
Right.
it had on there being like the female kind of empowerment version of The Shining. So straight away you've given yourself like a big bar to set when you mention the Shining, right?
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, the movie, and by the end of it, it felt like a chore to get through the entire thing. I kept checking my watch. I was like, it's only been 5 minutes. What? This feels like it's been an hour. So what was like an hour and a half movie felt like 5 hours to get through.
Oh, yeah,
It, it was
those are the
bad.
worst. Those are the worst. Where you're sitting there and you
Right.
are watching, you're going like, "Damn, isn't this thing over yet already?" And you
Right.
look down, and you've only been there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
um,
There's nothing worse. Nothing worse. Especially when you want the movie to pick up and maybe surprise you, like a very slow opening but gets into it. No.
Yeah, because do you find yourself rooting for the directors? I mean, especially for independent directors, you sit there and
Yeah.
to me, I'm always excited when I get fresh directors and from independent movies. That excites me, really. It really does. When I watch a movie, that's why I watch a lot of what I watch, because a lot of times it's their first movie or their first or second movie. I mean, they're just now starting out on their journey, and it's so much fun to watch that. You know, like
Mhm.
if you ask me, so what would you rather interview? Would you rather interview someone? Would you rather interview the director of The Vigil, or would you rather interview Martin Scorsese? Honest to God, from my hand to God, I would actually pick the guy who did The Vigil. What am I going to get from Martin Scorsese that I haven't already heard? He brings nothing to me. Everybody knows
Right.
who he is. I'd rather go talk to somebody else who's just starting out, who's just now just starting to rise. To me, that's
Mhm.
more exciting as a film watcher and as a film interviewer as well. Do you
Yep.
feel that way? I mean, if you got a chance to, like if you got a chance to interview, a chance to interview a major director versus a hot independent director, who would you pick? And be honest about it. I have a feeling I
Yeah.
know already, but I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So I think 99% of the time I would go with the smaller independent filmmaker.
Yeah,
Unless it was a well-known Hollywood director that I absolutely admired,
sure,
that I would
sure.
run to introduce that. But yeah, I mean, like on my channel, Patrick, like yourself, I love talking to anyone on an interview. Um, and recently I interviewed a very awesome woman called Sarah Jane Portelli, who did a movie this year called Cats of Malta, and that was really cool because she did a movie. So myself, I was born in England, but my dad was born in Malta, so I'm half English, half Maltese, which is really cool. So Sarah is half, I believe, Australian, half Maltese as well, which was awesome. Um, and for her being like an independent filmmaker, it's really cool because she did a movie in 2021 called Machination, which was fantastic, set in Malta, and then she did one this year, Cats of Malta, of course, set in Malta. And it's just so cool to see like an independent filmmaker like that really just um getting the chance to showcase what she has, getting the chance to make a film that she wants to make and not tied down by like studios telling her what to do. And it's just cool seeing like these people grow and get the chance to do what they want to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same it's the same way with the actors as well.
Right.
Seeing a rising actor, on the way up. It's to me, it's a lot of fun to talk to them. It's always
Yeah.
so much energy coming from them. I'm not
Yep.
sure if Jeff's in the room or not, still in the room or not, but I interviewed Jeff Clark,
Mm.
fantastic actor. He's going to be directing his first film here shortly. Super fun to talk to. Hearing him, talk about his journey and how fresh it is. I just really like seeing that. I think it's really fun to talk to someone who's so energetic and still, the sky's the limit for everybody. You just feel
Right.
that way when you talk to them. It's like, man, these guys can go anywhere they want to. They have the drive, they have the spirit, they have the talent. All they need is just that one break. That one big break,
Right.
and the next thing you know, off they go. Um,
Right.
I've interviewed a few people like that on the channel where, they're relatively unknown when I talk to them. Now some of them are landing major roles in movies and what have you. I'm just sitting there going like, this is really neat. It's like back when you got them first. He's like, okay,
Right.
uh,
Right. And
okay,
I, and I, and I think that's cool because when you get a chance to interview those actors or directors and say they get bigger, they're more likely going to remember you because you were the one who like paid attention and wanted to talk to them about their project when they were just starting.
yeah. It's when did you start doing interviews on your channel? Now, did you always because did you were you just strictly a review channel at first, or when did you slide into and start doing interviews?
Yeah, so my first interview was with in 2021, and that was with a person called Jason Mack, um, who was really really cool guy, and yeah, at first I was like doing reviews, but at the same time I was doing reviews, I was doing vlogs because I've never wanted to be a channel where I'm just movie reviews and that's it
Yeah,
because you know yourself, Patrick. There's so many people on YouTube doing that exact same thing. Um, yeah, I love talking about movies, new or old, but I also like doing vlogs, going to conventions, all sorts of stuff, really. Um, so yeah, so to answer your question about interviews, yeah, so 2021, I got an early screener from a small film company called Gravitas Ventures, which you may have heard of.
yep, yep.
Yeah, and they had a movie coming out called A Father's Legacy, starring Jason Mack and Tobin Bell. And I was like, wow, of course, the new Tobin Bell from the Saw franchise. Um, and Jason Mack I'd heard of, but I'd never seen really any of his works. So I saw the movie, pretty much enjoyed it, and they said, "Oh, well, Jason Mack's available for interviews," and I said, "Oh, wow, like that would be really cool to do on the channel." Because I always wanted to experiment in live streams, and at that point, I hadn't really done that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, so when it came to Jason Mack, I was like, wow, here's a chance to interview an upcoming director who's worked with Tobin Bell, who's a really experienced actor in the game at this point, and just kind of get to know about his filmmaking side because outside of YouTube, I love writing books, for example, and I released my first book this year on Amazon, which was pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Um, so
What's your book about?
so it's called Suicide Rumor. It's only a short story. It's about $1 in America, I think, on Amazon Kindle.
Okay.
Um, if anyone wants to check that out, it's available worldwide for like £1 or equivalent currencies in every country.
I'll get the link and put it down in the description after we're done.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you.
Mhm.
No, I appreciate that. So yeah, so like just being kind of a creative person myself, when it comes to interviewing a film director, probably like yourself, Patrick, is it's just interesting to me, like what goes on in their head, what kind of budgets they've got to work with, what kind of time scales have they got to put this picture together, what techniques do they use, what did they learn from, like for example, what did Jason learn from Tobin Bell being on set for that time, like with his acting and directing, did he give him any pointers? And I just find that stuff really fascinating. So, yeah, I love doing interviews.
Yeah. What's your process in preparing? Do you do freestyle? Like we're doing today? We're just talking. Do you do that, or do you prepare like a set of questions for your guests? Um, how do you
Yeah.
get ready for that? And do you get
Um,
butterflies? Do you get butterflies still when you still talk to people?
oh yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's hard not to. So yeah, a bit of both. I'll be honest. So normally, when I've got the interview, So I'd say the last time I got butterflies was my last interview I did was with David Howard Thornton, who people might know as Art the Clown in
Great interview.
Terrifier. Yeah. Well, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
But like for example, like when when you're doing your stream and backstage, you can see the person pop up backstage.
Yeah.
I saw him in the backstage and I was like, holy cow! Like this is like, he's right here. Like he's like he clicked the link to join the stream. Like it was felt surreal. So yeah, so I like to have like kind of a set list of questions. So for example, this is probably the better example to give. Sorry if I'm going on a little bit here as well.
No, keep going. The floor is yours.
Oh, thanks. So the interview I did recently, not David, but Sarah Jane Portelli, who is the Maltese director. So what I did firstly is I looked up her filmography on IMDb. I got the date and time set, looked at her filmography, and said, right, okay, so which projects have I seen and which ones have I not seen, and what has this director done? So I got a kind of a list together, and then what I normally do is I go on YouTube and I'll type in like Sarah Jane Portelli interview. So I might skim through maybe an interview or two on YouTube that someone else has done before, so I don't kind of ask the same questions.
That's the hardest thing that's the hardest thing, isn't it?
Right.
It's the hardest thing. That's exactly why I do not prepare questions. I don't prepare at all. I rather just talk like we're talking. Just let it come organic, It's just like I don't have any set questions. But I do really, really work hard. What I really do work hard at is to make sure I don't talk about that obvious hit.
Yes.
I avoid that. I avoid that. I don't want to talk about, like I don't want to talk about the biggest movie they've done. I'm trying to get an actress who was in one of the Scream movies, and that's her big call. That's her calling card.
Right.
I want to talk to her, but if I do, I'm not talking about that. I'm not going to be talking about that at all because everybody else has, and it's just like I want to talk about everything else that you've done since then because you're not just going to be defined by that one moment. You're obviously you're talented enough to get the part. You're talented enough to go out and do other things. So let's talk about that, right?
Right. Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, so that's why I like to, like yourself, Patrick. I like to bring up movies that maybe they starred in some time ago that I've seen, or a different project, or maybe find out maybe more about like the actual process, what they get into with the acting than the. Of course, like if the interview is about their latest movie, at some point in the interview, I will touch on that latest movie just because that's what they're there to kind of promote mainly. But besides that, I like to get into like their actual what makes them an actor, like what goes on their head, what was their experiences like on different sets, what was like that kind of stuff. So I like to have kind of like some bullet points in terms of like some questions I might ask. But like if we're having a conversation and all of a sudden Sarah's like, "Oh well, I have a cat at home," and I didn't know that, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, well, what's your cat called?" Like like yeah, like
that sounds so much. That you sound just like myself. I mean, that's something I would do.
and I think
cats are huge here.
Yeah, but I think that's like so important because that person's opening up to you and giving you something that you maybe didn't know about them. And I think as someone who's going to interview a person, I think it's important to pick up on those little things they mention and maybe ask them a follow-up question because they probably won't expect that. Yeah. So as then I have bullet points, but if they bring up something, I go off the bullet points and I just go for it because when I do reviews, it's all freestyle. It's never scripted or I'm reading a prompt there. I might have like maybe some actors' names if I don't know their names off top of memory, but that's kind of about it.
That's probably my biggest fear whenever I interview anybody is to try to get their name right. Man, it's just like there's been times where I've actually been like, I'm gonna wait till they get here and they're gonna ask me how did they say their name, so I don't kill them. So there's been times where like we're gonna talk to we're gonna let them introduce themselves so then we know how because the one even now, my one hardest is this Dutch director. His name is Thies Muse. And it's like for the longest time I was just killing his name over and over and over. And it's like, how do you say your name? And you know, because I know I was killing it. I know I was just I was like, oh, this is terrible. You know, it's like,
Right.
how do you pronounce your name? But yeah,
Right.
I'm with you about the. That's what's so cool about doing improv. You know, when you're just sitting there and you're just talking, and they'll mention like the one thing I probably do beforehand is I will ask them if they have a special project or passion thing that they are doing that they want to bring attention to. I'll sit there and say, "Do you have anything that you want that you want hyped up?" You know, because we'll
Right.
fit it into the interview, and then we'll do that. And then I also ask them too. Says, you know, rest assured, we're not going to personal. If there's anything that you don't want to talk about, let me know. Is there anything you want to avoid? And honest to heaven, 375 interviews into it, I have yet to have anybody comment to me and say, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about that." I have never
Right.
had anybody tell me. But at the same time, they also seem to know because what I do is I send out a previous episode. Like if I'm going to be talking to somebody, I'll send them this one. I'll send this episode. This is how our show works. This is the format, so they can see it. And then so they look at it and they'll go like, okay, it's a comfortable setting. Um, and then you know, and also tells us we don't dive deep into the personal aspect of things. You know, we keep it. You know,
Right.
we get there, but we don't get there. You know, we can do both. Um,
Right. Right.
let's see. Al says, "Oh, next time I won't talk about anything." Um, you know the bat has sat in with me on 2 interviews. The bat has sat on and we interviewed Adam Marcus together, and then we interviewed Deborah Sullivan together.
Oh,
The
nice.
bat and the bat does cool interviews as well. Uh, did you see his interview? I have to admit, I was really curious about this. Did you see his interview that he did with this director named David Heavener?
Can't say I did. No.
Oh, you got to watch that. Actually it's a. You ever had an interview? Have you ever had an interview where you're suddenly in the middle of it and all of a sudden it skewers sideways?
No. The only kind of big, I'd say, interview experience I had was where it kind of didn't go to plan. Well, not to plan, but kind of went off track and sideways a little bit. Was I interviewed the director and one of the stars of a movie called The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain. It came out in 2021, and that was released by Gravitas Ventures. So I got a chance to interview the director and one of the actors, and I did it with my friend Richard, Richard G Reviews. And I'm not kidding, Patrick. When I started the interview, I introduced myself, I introduced my guests, and before I could go into my first question, my connection completely cut out.
Oh, oh
so
yes, yes.
so
That I,
poor Richard, yeah, well, poor Richard, it was his first time doing an interview. We were doing co-host interview for that one, and he was just like, huh? but 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 the good thing with Richard, because he's done plenty of live streams like this, where we just have a chat. Like he was able just to kind of carry it on until I came back in. But that
right.
wasn't a good start to the interview. Me want to talk to these people and be like, oh, black screen completely cut out.
Now, are all your interviews live or do you record your interviews?
Always live on YouTube.
God, isn't that's the best? It
Yeah,
really is. I've seen.
yeah,
I mean, no offense to Al, because I know Al does a lot of recorded interviews, but I like the live one because you just never know what's going to happen. You know, tech
right,
problems could happen. You know, you just never know. You just never know. It makes it so much more
right,
fun and on the wire. You know, you're walking the wire every time you hit that. The guest is backstage and you hit that little red button. It's you're on the wire, and it's so much fun for
right.
that. It's like hell yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I agree.
oh
The
yeah, and
the
Al mentioned that. Yes, the infamous connection issue. Yes, yeah, I've had that happen to me a couple of times. And
the
it happened to me for a Grail guest too, like someone who I would really wanted to interview, and then I tried to get them to do a pre-show so we could check their connection, and they wouldn't do it, and they wouldn't do it. And the day of the show, we got up there, we started doing it. Their tech was just shit, pure shit. It only lasted 17 minutes, and I said, you know what? It's not going to go. It's not going to happen. So I ended it. I ended after 17 minutes, and I was just like, this is terrible. But I was frustrated because it's like, if we would have known this beforehand, we could have worked together to find you a good spot where you could have did the interview with. But they never, they never worked with me on that. So it's like, well, you know what? No. Have you been invited to have you been invited to ever interview somebody who you decided that you would pass on? That you said, no, I'm not interested in?
Not yet. Not yet. No, I think it's because with myself, with the interviews I've done so far on my channel, I usually do interviews with the people I want to interview. So don't get me wrong. Like sometimes I get sent early screeners. Like for example, like that Ouija shark, I got sent a screener for, right?
Right.
And I appreciate that, but I wouldn't want the director on my channel to interview them if I didn't like that movie. Because I can't just sit there and be like, "Oh, I love that. That was fantastic." Because then I'd just be lying. It would come across as fake. And when I put out the review as well, if I said Ouija Shark 2 was fantastic and it wasn't, I'm going to get roasted in the comments,
Right.
So far, I usually reach out to the directors and actors I want to interview when I've seen like maybe a project or theirs or two projects, and I'm like, wow, that's great. Like I want to know more about them and their process and how they operate and about the movie a little bit more about behind the scenes and stuff.
Do you interview if you get a chance to do an interview? Do you do your review of their movie before you do your interview, or do you put your review of the film after you do the interview?
Usually before.
Usually before.
So at least that way I can send them the review and say like, look, here's my honest opinion. I checked out your movie. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I would like to talk to you more about it. I like putting it out beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah. I got caught in a situation like that. I learned my lesson. I did a review out of a movie with the direct, and then the director saw it and said that after I had booked him to do an interview, and then I watched this movie, and it was just it's like it wasn't up to what I thought it was going to be, and I did a review on it, and then they come back and they said, well, I don't think my studio's gonna be happy about you interviewing me after that review. But I really
Right.
liked the director. That's the thing. I really liked him. And I said, I understand that, but I'm still going to work on getting you some publicity. So I did that. I got him a couple of podcast spots, and then I said, and then I said we'll work down the line later on. And then when I started doing this, I brought him on there, and we talked about it. I think he's a fantastic writer and a good director. I do, and but the movie itself, and it also showed too how wrong I was. Because here I am going like, man, no one's gonna like this movie. And the next thing I know, not only do they like it, but it's sort of like a cult film now. And it was just one of those things where it's like, wow, I didn't, I love the premise. I told that to him, and I said that in my review. I said, I love the absolute premise of this movie. If you were going to do another one of these, and just do some minor tweaks to it, I'd be the first one buying a ticket. But the first movie, just but I already knew going into it. Like I knew it wasn't totally his fault. It was his first movie that he directed, and you already knew right away that it wasn't his fault of everything he saw on screen. Because you're going like, no director would let this happen. No director would let this slide through. You knew there was some interference behind it, and sure enough, that's exactly what it was. And he explained that to us in our interview. And I'm sitting there going, I should have been a little bit more patient with that. I should have put that into my interview. Like, okay, so maybe it's not the best, but there's some reasons why it's not where I think it should be.
Right.
Right. You know how that goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you never been caught where you've done a bad review and actually you scheduled an interview and
Nah, because like you just explained there, Patrick, I think like for example, I mentioned Ouija Shark. So I gave that a bad review because I wasn't a fan. And again, I appreciate it's low budget. The director probably only could do what they could do, right?
Right.
And they know what kind of film they were making. But again, like if I give that a bad review and then I, message the director and then he checked out the review before coming on to the stream, he'd be like, "Well, why am I here if you just trashed the movie that I made?" And in a way, I'd be like, if I did that, it'd be like a bit of an insult to them.
I'm
To be
actually
like,
eager to see that. I'm actually eager to see that because I know the director of Wheezy Shark 2, Joe Magliore, John Magliore. That guy made a really good movie called A Creature from Cannibal Creek. Man, that movie's banging.
oh, okay.
I have to sit there and say that, man, but that movie's banging. It's now the director from the first Wheezy Shark, Brett Kelly. He made that movie for $211.
Wow.
Yes, $211. And then when it just blew up. And so the story behind that too. I don't know if you know this or not, but so Brett Kelly made the first movie.
Yeah.
Him and Tom Magliore were friends. Well, the company that put out the movie. They put out the movie, and they approached John Migliore to do Wheezy Shark 2, and they didn't tell Brett Kelly. So John said he'd do the movie, and Brett Kelly was his feelings were so hurt. He almost quit. He almost quit making movies. He said he felt so betrayed that they didn't get a chance to do the second movie. And I'm just thinking, why would you feel bad about not doing the second movie? I mean, it's in good hands. I mean, at least John Migliore knows what he's doing. And from everything I've read, I think your review is probably the only one I read that or watched that really just didn't like it that much. Everybody else seemed to like this is a lot better than the first one.
Like
I'm not sure what kind of level that is, or bar that is, but
man, it's an interesting one. I'll say that.
Would you want to interview? I mean, wouldn't it be fun though? I can't. I mean, I'd like to interview Brett Kelly. I've actually sent him some invites to interview, but I think he just sees my name and he just, oh fuck that guy. I do. I think some of these folks when they get our requests, I think some of them actually do their due diligence and they go back and see. Let's go see if this guy's actually reviewed any of my movies. And they type in our name and reviews. And next thing they go like, "Oh hell no, I'm not talking to that guy."
Don't get me wrong, Patrick. Like I think it'd be so. For example, like because I usually watch on the channel a lot of asylum movies, and I mean we all know what those movies are like. But I think that there's usually in asylum movies usually so bad it's just a funny, it's stupid entertaining time, right?
Right.
So for me, like anyone who's been in an asylum movie, which is a few actors and actresses, like I would be open to have them on an interview in the channel because not so much to talk about that project that they've done for the asylum, but more about like the background on them as an actor and like, okay, well, what makes them want to make an asylum movie? Like, is that what their agent pushed them, or did they actually have it like proactively go for that role? Like, what was the shooting like for one of those kind of movies? That's the kind of stuff I would want to know from that person, not about the movie per se.
They cast those movies. It's pretty easy to see. They cast maybe one or two names.
Yeah.
And the rest of the supporting cast. I swear, it's like they have open auditions, right? And what they do is they cast the first two, the two C-level stars that they always put in there. And then what they do is I think we need 20 more cast members. I really believe they do this. I believe that they count the first 20 people that walk through the audition room and they take those 20. They take those 20, tell everybody else to go home. That's their cast. I really believe that. I don't think they audition at all. I don't think they have auditions at all for their movies. I just think it's really just like the first 20 people with a pulse and
See, so this is the thing. So like I know there's an actress who does a few asylum movies called Anna Telfer, and she's been in quite a few asylum movies. So, like you were saying, Patrick, like in general, when I've seen them in it, though, like she's not a bad actress. Like I've seen, like she's had potential, but maybe she just didn't get the chance to do something other than that.
Yes.
Apart from this year, I saw her in a Shudder movie, and I was like, wow, like finally, and she was really good in that.
Yes.
So for me, like it might be one of those things, as you said, she originally came through the door, she did that role, and they may have thought, oh well, hold on, this actress is an actress, she needs money, she needs work. So okay, well we've got another project, let's get her onto that. But like that would be something I want to sit down with that person and like find out that,
Yes.
because I find that entity like interesting.
I'm with you. Have you met a guest that have you met an actor yet or an actress yet that you just know that is a lot more talented than than they've been given a chance to show?
Yeah.
Have you ever interviewed anybody and actually felt like because they haven't had that door open for them necessarily because maybe because they've done some really bad movies? Have you ever felt like physical anger toward it or toward the process? Like you just know that
Yeah.
person's really good, but god damn, why is the door shut to them?
Mhm.
Like why, they're better than they're better than a lot of the actresses working today or actors working
Mhm.
today, but they can't get a break. Do you ever watch that
Yeah.
and like in a personal level and get angry? Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
for
at
that
times,
because you know
yeah.
what?
So,
I know I felt like that too. There's one person in particular I won't name because I don't want to do that, but there's one particular person who I think is just it just crushes my heart to know that she could have been so much more than what she was, but she wasn't given a chance, and she worked in a lot of just I mean, we're talking she worked in a lot of god awful films, and it's like on the other hand, yes, she got cast in movie, but God, it's just like it's a career killer. The movies, I mean, sometimes it is better to say no to sometimes, I know, well, I'm making a movie. Okay, yes, but you're so much better than with the material. Maybe
right.
it's best not to do it, just to hang out, just try to hang on a little longer for a better role. Um,
I
because this
think it's
person, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think no, no, sorry to interrupt. I think it's tough because, as you mentioned, like you saw the potential in that actress, and she's capable of like bigger and better things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she might have bills to pay, so she has like it's kind of like a catch-22. She's got no other choice but to take what you
And the
know.
thing is though, that the what she's gonna get is she might as well just do nothing because she ain't making money from this film director. Let me tell you, that guy. I'll give you a hint. The guy who made Cocaine Cougar. She's done a lot of his movies, and
Oh,
damn well he ain't paying nobody. He ain't paying nobody no money. Uh
nah.
uh
But the film studio will pay them something. I don't know what, but
it's just so
not a lot.
frustrating for that. Uh, um, but
I agree.
who's been your favorite guest so far that you've interviewed?
Oh, that's a good question.
I tell you what, make it easier for you. Tell
Think
us your
it's
tell us your top three favorites. That'll help you.
top three. Okay, so top three. Well, David Howard Thornton was awesome. Just because of like he's definitely one of the rising stars in horror at the moment, and just to
Definitely.
like have that chat with him, he just seemed like he was just so down to earth. It was so cool to know that a guy who's getting like that popular is still just a regular cool guy. So
Right.
so he's one. Another one was a film director actually called Justin Everidge. I interviewed him for his movie he did called Good with Keith David, and
Uh,
he was just like so cool, relaxed. Like we just had like an open conversation. It was just like a really fun interview. Um, and I would say number three is probably a guy who I had on an interview with the director and one of the sound guys as well, called Nicholas Science, from the movie Apartment 413. Again, like he was just so fun, energetic. We talked afterwards. Heck, I even got his PlayStation username and talked to him on PlayStation. Like
well,
that's how cool that was.
that's
So
fun.
those are probably some of my. Well, I haven't had a bad interview, but those are some of my highlights, I would say.
Like, do you have your own Grail guest of guests that you would like to interview? I mean, if you had like, do you have like a top 10 list of people you want? And tell us a couple of the Grail guests that you would like to interview if you got a chance.
Oh, one of them would definitely be Justin Long. Um,
Be
I,
fun.
I think he's just a great actor. He does a lot of broad range acting as well in his career, and just think he seems like a cool guy. So definitely him. Actress wise, Emma Stone, I would say. But I don't know. It's tough because I don't want to go for the obvious answers.
No, yeah. I mean, if you got a chance to do it, I mean, it would be, yeah. If you got a chance to interview Emma Stone, I think yeah, by all means. You just never know. You just never know who because obviously, look, you got David Howard Thornton, right? That's a Grail guest right there. And so
yeah.
you got to interview him, which means like, hell, if I could get him to come on the show, I could get, maybe I can get somebody else to come onto the show.
Right.
So, what is your favorite genre of movie? What movies do you like to watch when you're not interviewing them or whatnot? But what movies do you like to watch when you're at home?
So the kind of most obvious answer would be like any kind of film. But in terms of like say physical media and stuff that I've got in the back here, I've started to get over the last couple of years. I've started to get more and more into anime movies.
Okay.
And I just find that like genre really interesting. I think like they just tell some beautiful stories just from like drawn images, And sometimes those stories I find more beautiful than actual humans being in a movie,
Right. Are you a big Dragon Ball Z man?
I do have a big collection right there.
I asked that question for our good friend Interweb Kaiju, who absolutely loves Dragon Ball Z. So I had to ask you that.
Yeah.
Do you own a copy of Akira?
I did, but I did sell it.
You sold Akira?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hey Gareth. Gareth is here. He says
Hey, Gareth.
he says asylum rules. Yeah, you know what? When I see David Latt on your show, Gareth, that's when I'll believe that. Yeah, when you've had David Latt on your show interviewing him, I'll believe that. Larry's encouraging it. He says Vegeta is a beast. Everybody on Dragon Ball Z is a beast. That's the problem with it. Everybody.
Everyone's a beast. Yeah.
Let's see, his Larry's favorite anime is Vampire Hunter D. Yeah, I actually found a copy of that. I found a copy of that at my library. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, wow.
Once in a great while, I'll come across some anime there. Very rare. It's rare, but I do run across it. But
there's some great stories.
You sold Akira. Did you replace it?
No. It is not too long ago, Patrick. I went through my like collection, and I took each title and I was like, am I really going to watch this movie over and over again, or am I just going to watch it maybe the once in the future? And Akira was one of those titles. I was just like, I'm not going to watch this over and over again. Whereas, like, so for example, like there's a movie called Your Name, and that's my favorite anime movie of all time in that genre. So for me, I got this, and I was like, well, am I going to watch this over and over again? The answer was yes. So I was like, right, well, I definitely want to keep that, But Akira, I was like, I might watch it once again, and then that's kind of it. It's just going to be sat there.
Right.
So,
Right. Oh, I just think Akira is I think it's the best anime film I've ever seen.
I don't blame you.
See, I rediscovered Akira a year back. Lots of Blade Runner vibes. Or you should actually, know what? I'm not sure which came. Well, I know the book, Blade Runner, the story it was based on came before Akira, But Akira came. I do believe Akira was published after. I think it was published. I'm not sure if it was after Blade Runner I know the original story, the print story. I'm not sure when Akira. I'm trying to think of when it was published. It might have came after Blade Runner, but it's an amazing movie. Oh yeah. It's funny. I had a video store I went to, and this is funny, but I used to go there, and I was always trying to buy movies that I could, right? Because they sometimes, this because it was out there didn't have a price on it, you still could go up there and see about buying it.
Right.
I would get all these movies all the time. Movies that they would just, the video store would just get in. They would be on the shelf for 3 weeks, and they say, "Do you want to buy that now?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah," because you're like, "Oh yeah." They call me at home, going, "Hey, we got this movie in. Do you want to go ahead and buy it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll be right down there." I tried for a solid year. For a solid year, I tried to buy Battleship Yamato. Could never get. Every single time. "Hey, are you guys selling this?" "No." For a year. "Are you selling this?" "No." Finally, I finally got a copy of it right before they closed. Are there any video stores open left in the UK? What's your physical media situation like in the UK? Are you still able to go to big stores and buy physical media, or is it rapidly shrinking?
Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah, so we've got two kind of big physical media stores in the UK, and then besides the two big stores, we've got like the the supermarket. Might sell a couple, but not a lot. So yeah, so we've got two different stores. We've got one called HMV, which used to just be physical media, whether it was movies, CDs, vinyls. But because they went through a bit of financial trouble last couple of years, they still sell that stuff, but they sell less of it and sell more like pop Funkos and that kind of stuff, So that's like the big physical media store. And then, but the physical media store that I go to normally is called CEX. It's all used media, so people can take their stuff in and they'll give them like cash or vouchers towards stuff in store. And yeah, they usually sell the physical media like pretty cheap a lot of the time.
Nice.
So that's kind of the situation here.
What are some of your favorite? What are some of your favorite physical media releases that you own in your collection?
I'll show you. Yeah. It's this side. Yeah. Hold on. So I would say again, I like Your Name is the like collector's version with like a nice booklet and stickers and stuff. So I own that.
Cool.
One of them is another animation movie, Weathering with You, which is a 4K limited edition with like a big booklet you can see there, and then the steel book. Like that's a really
cool.
big release. I also own. I'll show you a cool one here. Like a Back to the Future 4K trilogy plutonium case set.
That's sweet.
Which is pretty cool. So they're just a couple of examples,
Yeah, that's cool. I'll show you what I got yesterday. I'll show you what I got yesterday, just because everybody probably gonna need a hard laugh. So I'll go show it to you. Oh, I found this yesterday at the library.
Okay. Okay, I'm intrigued. And hello, everyone in the chat. I hope you're doing well.
So I go to the library every Tuesday. A lot of the folks in the chat know I go to the library, and I always find different things there. You just never know what you're gonna get. And right. So I rolled in there yesterday, and so I saw this sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this, even though I know once I show that I got it, I'm gonna get roasted for it. People are gonna laugh for it. But this is what I picked up, and I'm so glad that I did, because I've never seen any of the movies, not once. I've had the movies here, but I've never. I think I'm missing one, but now I got the whole thing, and that was so it's Twilight Forever, the box set of Twilight.
Wow. Okay.
So,
oh wow. Okay.
But it's super nice. It's really
that's pretty cool packaging.
Yeah, I think so too. And it has all the different films, and it has the pictures in it and whatnot. It's really really sweet looking
Oh,
set. And I'm going like, wow, I'm gonna get that. I know that once I show that, I'm probably gonna I'll probably have some, I'll probably hear some people clowning on me for that. But I thought it was just I thought it was pretty badass, to tell you the truth.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a pretty cool set.
I noticed the chat has stopped posting, so I'm sure they're all on the floor going like, "What the hell? What the hell is that?" Um, what? Who's your favorite actor and actress right now working? I mean, currently
Ooh.
working. Do you have favorites that you like watching in particular?
I would say actress Emma Stone. um, I think I don't know. I just think she's always interesting. I think she's always doing something different as well, and that's what I can appreciate. Actor wise, I would definitely say probably Andrew Garfield.
Okay, okay,
Um, I think he's a very interesting actor who again is always doing something different. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have. Oh, and maybe Christian Bale as well.
okay.
Always been
Definitely,
a big
definitely
fan
can
of.
see that. Definitely can see that.
But
Um,
I don't really tend to have like a lot of favorite actors or actresses. I like to just go in the movie because there might be an actor or actress I've seen in another movie and they maybe weren't great, but then the next movie I see they're fantastic.
right, right, right. I mean, there's some people, like, do you like I'm trying, and it's weird because one is by accident, one I'm trying on purpose to do. But there's two, like, as far as actors go, there's one actor who I just have stumbled across all their movies. I don't mean to, it just happened that way. I've just
Okay.
gotten them, and that was Kristen Stewart. I don't mean to go out there
Oh,
and get her stuff, but I just happen to own a lot of it. A lot. I was just like, holy shit, how did that happen? And then the one actress right now who I really enjoy is Haley Bennett. Uh, uh,
oh, okay.
very much. Haley Bennett is who I really like watching right now. She's really she's makes some really interesting choices.
Right,
I mean,
right.
she's definitely like one of the most beautiful actresses today. And you would think that she'd be all over like all over the big releases, whatnot, but she does a lot of independent work. She does a lot of independent work, and it's just like
Yeah.
I think she's pretty brave in the choices she makes.
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree.
she's comfortable down in the trenches, what have you.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I
so
agree.
the award seasons are coming up. So
Okay,
you
yeah.
got the BAFTA and you got the Oscars and you got what is your opinion about award season? Is that an exciting time for you as a movie channel, as a movie buff? Do you get pumped up for the award season,
Mm.
or are you sort of like me and rather cynical about it?
Like yourself. Yeah. So don't get me wrong. I think on one hand it's cool that an actor gets like a nomination. I think for any actor, whether you're a big actor or whether you're a supporting cast, I think in general just to be nominated for an award is probably a pretty cool feeling for a lot of these people. And I think it's nice for even this nomination, kind of get some recognition for your work you've done from
Hmm.
outside of just the film and the studio and the director. But then on the other hand, say the best say for example the Academy Awards and the best actor contender, you might get a list of 4 or 5 people. But again, it's usually always a big name that you've heard of before. It's never like a little guy in an independent movie who's probably done a better performance than they've done all year, you know?
Right.
And it just kind of feels a bit more like just a glorifying contest at times, than an actual recognition. Those award shows should be maybe what fans vote on, you
Do you
know?
think they should be open to, like, to me it's like, I mean, why to me it's like, you almost want to sit there and say you should have like a preliminary, like, have have basically have the top 75 performances, and then have the public vote for it. You know, I think you have a fighting chance to get an underdog in there in through that way. You have a
I
fighting
agree.
chance. Um, I mean, you would hope so. Uh,
I
but
agree.
you're right. I mean, now it's like you go and you see these lists, and the one thing you rest assured upon, it seems like the studios pay for that shit. They pay for the ads, they pay for your consideration. They're paying all that. They're putting money behind it, and it really sours the idea that that these people are whereas they should be winning strictly on merit. They're winning basically because of the studios are paying for it a lot of the time, or public opinion, or I mean, or I guess, or the media's attention on it, because I'll tell you that here's what really bothered me about the strike. Okay, so, or actually go back to the pandemic. I've told the story many times, but I still tell it because it's a perfect example. What is this is when I stopped caring about awards. I mean, I never was all that into it, but I mean, I was curious about it. Oh, who's getting nominated?
Right.
So, this is the story when I just quit. I just like no more. So when the pandemic hit, right? So all the theaters went down. Everything stopped.
Yeah.
So during the summer here in the United States, all the theaters were stopped. Very few movies were being released, if any at all. So,
Right.
so some of the independent studios came up there and they released their movies, and it kept things going up a little bit. Most of the time, what we were watching during the pandemic were reissues. Roll out Back to
Yeah.
the Future. Roll
Yeah.
out Jaw. That's what they were doing. They didn't have anything new that they wanted to throw into the. 'Cause they wanted their movies to have a chance to make money, so they were holding on to them. We're not going to release it until
Right.
after the pandemic's over. That makes sense. But some of the studios they did release new movies, and one of the movies they released was Swallowed, and that had
Yeah.
Haley Bennett in it.
Yeah. I like
And
that movie.
yeah, and it came out, and it was just an amazing performance, a great role. It was beautiful. It was like haunting and everything else. Okay, well there you go. That's gonna get an Oscar nomination for sure. But then the pandemic ended. It ended, and everything opened back up. And all these little movies that had kept the theaters up and running, and all these actors that had performances that we were talking about, they got totally wiped the hell out. It's like they just like no, they didn't count for nothing.
Yeah.
Before you know it, we have Frances McDormand being nominated again, and it's just like really, her movie wasn't even released until after like for a month and a half and before the nomination. It was just like what no actor got, or including Haley Bennett got any sort of love or thanks for keeping the movie theater business alive. And when her performance should have been an Oscar, but because because she didn't have a big studio backing her, totally got forgotten. It didn't even matter. And after that, I just said, you know what? It's just no. It's just there's no justice in this award system. I have no faith in it. And yeah, after that, I've just become cynical about it. I looked at the Golden Globes this year, and I'm like, what's the difference between the Golden Globes and the Oscars? They're gonna vote. They're gonna put the same people on.
Right.
There's no adventures. There's nobody. There's no bright new star they're gonna be promoting. There's nothing like that. They're all the same old faces.
Hmm.
It's just hard to get excited for it. Um,
I agree.
did you see Barbie or Oppenheimer this year?
Yeah. So both of them.
What do you think? I mean, those two are probably going to be the front runners for Best Picture of the year. What did you think?
So yeah, a bit of a hot take on both of them, I guess. So I'll start with Oppenheimer. So I love Christopher Nolan. I've got Christian Bale Batman tattoo on my arm up here. Um, so yeah, I love Christopher Nolan. So going into Oppenheimer, obviously a 3 hour movie. I was curious what it was, and learn a bit more about this true story that it's based on. And I think the movie was good. I know a lot of people are raving about it, but I thought it was good. But it's not one of those. I'd want to own a physical media or rush to rewatch over and over again, right? I thought, one-time experience I'm happy with. I've seen the movie.
Sure.
Maybe years down the line, maybe, but I've got no urgency to do it. Barbie, on the other hand, again, like when it was first announced, I was like, really, like a Barbie movie? like who thought this was a great idea?
Right.
But after watching the movie, yeah, I'll say that I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. Is it a movie I'm going to rewatch like over and over again? No, probably not. But I still had a good time. Like, it was, I think, because like the audience I was with as well, everyone was laughing, everyone was in good spirits, like everyone was just enjoying like the movie, and like, yeah, I just had like a good cinema experience with it, really. And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's got issues, of course, yeah, but yeah, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, it's just I just thought that it was just like a good popcorn movie, something fun. I know there's some
Right,
good messages in there and whatnot,
right,
but I was just thinking, I don't know. I mean, just because it made the money, I don't necessarily equate a good with money. I mean, you can have a
right,
popular movie, where you can have a great popular movie, but the performances might not be the best. There might be, because the person's popular. Is more
right,
than more.
right.
Though I will say that from everything I read, that Margot Robbie was really cute in it. I mean, she did
Mhm.
Babylon, and she got that movie got crushed. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I guess it's like people people like the story written. They like they like the story more. They like to see her in more
Yeah.
upbeat things, I think. Um,
But I saw Babylon as well this year, and I would argue that her performance in Babylon was better than Barbie's. Two different movies, of course, but in Babylon it felt more like a raw performance.
I would like to see that. I had hoped that my library would drop a copy down to it, discard a copy. But I have
Mm,
not seen it. But that's one of those movies I have on my list that I keep my eye out for.
mm.
Hopefully, it's someone will drop it off. That's
Which
my main honey
they
grounds,
will.
my library.
They will. They will. Give it time. Give it
Yeah,
time. They'll
I
be
mean,
there.
I do. Um, we got a few minutes left. I'll just ask you a couple more questions. But so
Sure.
tell us a little bit about how you got your YouTube started. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your YouTube journey. What got you started into creating your channel?
Yeah. So back in 2017, I started a new job. Um. Oh, I
Ta-da! Back.
don't know what happened.
Gremlins.
Oh, fair enough. That pesky gremlin.
It is
um,
Christmas season.
it is. It is very true. So yeah. So back in 2017, I started like a new job, and when I started this new job, I met a person who's also started the job at the same time called Curtis. And shout out to Curtis. Um, and he said, like, we got talking, and just get to know like one another, like work colleagues. And he's like, oh, like, because I told him about, I like to go see movies, I like to use my cinema pass, go see what's on. And he's like, oh, well, do you watch YouTube? And I was like, no, not really. And believe it or not, Patrick, I never used to watch YouTube like at all. You know,
No,
well,
me either. Me either. I didn't
yeah,
start watching it either.
right. Right. So yes, I didn't start watching it like yourself. So I had no really interest. So he told me about YouTube, and he's like, "Well, on YouTube, do you know that there's a film reviewer called Chris Stuckman?" And I was like, "No, never heard of the guy." I was like, "I don't know who he is." So I went on YouTube, watched Chris Stuckman, and yeah, I liked his reviews. I thought, he's pretty cool. So I was watching his reviews, and I remember he did a couple of videos back in around 2017, 2018 time, and I was like, yeah, I really don't agree with his opinion. I feel like he hated the movie, but I really enjoyed it. I was like, he's seen this wrong. So as I mentioned, like kind of being like a creative person, I thought, well, you know, why not to start a channel? Create a video, turn the camera on, record my thoughts. If people don't want to hear my thoughts, I'll just delete the video, delete the channel, and that's it. End the story.
Right.
But yeah, I put the video out, and just one by one, and as it built up, I slowly started to get more invested, start learning how to do some editing and the thumbnails and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, 5 years later, here we are.
Yeah, your channel is blowing up. I mean, it really is. It
Thanks.
seems like this year has really caught fire. I saw that you blew past 2,000. You're already up to
Thank you.
2,200. That's very impressive.
Oh, thank you. No, yeah. So like this year, because I don't know about yourself, Patrick, but I got an email from YouTube yesterday, I think, to say like your stats for the year, like what you've done.
Okay.
I think it was titled like your year in 2023.
Oh, right,
And
right. I think I got that. I haven't looked at it yet.
you usually do. YouTube usually sends you that each year to say like this is what you've done this year, how many new subs, videos you uploaded, likes, comments, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think on there it said that this year I'd gained like 700 subscribers, which is crazy to think. And it's crazy to think that people are still interested in hearing my opinion, I guess. It's cool though.
Uh,
I'm really grateful for it though.
yeah, it's a really good channel. I like the fact you mix up both with celebrity interviews and the hortubers and hortubers and the YouTuber creators. I think that's really fun too. I think it's a
Oh, thank you.
great mix. I think it's a great mix. What do you plan for 2024? What's
Yeah.
new? What's new on the? What do you got going for the channel for next year?
Yeah, well, firstly, same to you, but as well about YouTube because you mix it up with interviews and reviews and Dollar Tree theater and pickups, which I really enjoy. So
Yeah,
I
Dollar
really
Tree
enjoy
Theater is a hoot.
it.
It's a hoot.
It's always something different.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do. I always try to do something like what the hell is this guy watching? I love that sort of attitude, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like, it's like, but sometimes you sneak in a big budget movie too, like,
Mhm.
and you're sort of surprised when all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm gonna put this on here, and I'll get a lot of feedback from it, and then you do that, and like nobody says, yeah, nobody really cares about that, and it's like, oh, okay. I But it's a lot of fun. It's a work in progress.
Right. Well, it's cool though. It's different, right? So that's what's important. It's different.
Right.
So yeah, plans for next year. So I definitely want to kind of just elevate the channel more. I want to do more interviews. I want to still do like the new movie reviews, but I also want to. So for example, a live stream I'm going to do coming up probably next year is I'll quickly show you here. I've got a huge box here, and inside this box is like all like cinema tickets I keep.
Right. Right.
So this box it goes back to 2005 until present day. So next
Oh,
so next year I want to do a live stream where I'll go through each one of these packs with like the label on for each year and do one big live stream and talk about all those movies I've seen in the cinema and if I've revisited them or it was just a one-time watch, you know.
right.
Um,
Right.
so
God,
that's like
I wonder how many movies that you watch there do you own?
like on here.
Yeah. Is
Oh,
how many movies do you own in your physical media collection? How many movies do you physically own?
um, hold on. Let me see if I can. I don't know how well you're going to see this. So it starts from there,
Okay.
and so there's the first like shelf edge here, and then
Yeah.
I own that there, and a couple of additions there, and that's kind of about it.
I know.
So
Isn't
not a lot.
storage is a bitch, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. So where that collection is there, there's the door. So I haven't, and then there's like that's like the wall there. So I haven't got room to put like another storage in.
Is this your man cave that we're in? This is your man
Yeah.
cave, right? Yeah.
This is my little man cave. Yeah.
Right. So whatever you can fit in there is what you can keep.
Well, that's it. Well, so the thing is, Patrick, like so when it comes to collecting physical media for myself, like I would love to own more titles,
Sure.
but I've come to the stage where, like with the space I've got at the moment, I only want to have titles here that I really want to rewatch time and time again.
Right.
Whether it's a movie I've loved for years or whether it's a new movie I've recently come across, being like, wow, that was fantastic. I really want to watch that again. If I had like more space, like more of these bookcases, I would probably get a lot more physical media. But
Yeah.
because I only have the space, and as you can see, all these shelves are full. I've got nowhere to put it unless I stack it on top of there, and that's it.
Right.
I kind of try hold off, you know.
I'm where I'm working my closet right now. My closet is like,
I saw behind you when you got your Twilight box set before. I saw in the back, like that cupboard that's open. I
yeah.
can see them stacked at the top, you know.
The closet is infamous. I'm telling you, it's the infamous closet, and I'm going like, how much more can I fit in there? You know, because I only have one shelf. I only have 2 shelving units myself, and so that's it. So everything else is in crates, or it's in the back. And the thing is, the ones you see on the stack on the bottom there, those are my library movies. Most of those I got from the library. Those, you know, I'm just like, I'm going like, wow, this is just 1 year's worth of collecting. But I do believe going into 2024, I do believe it will shrink. I don't think I won't have that kind of, I'm not going to have this kind of pull next year. I'm just not, I'm not going to see that. Like, you know, this year was absolutely crazy. I don't see that happening next year. With physical media disappearing as it is, I think it's just going to start dwindling down too. You know, like I was talking to, I was watching somebody earlier, and they're saying how their Salvation Army and their Goodwill, you know, their charity shop over here, that he went out there to thrift shop, and he's just noticing that physical media section, even in the charity shops, are just dwindling down to next to nothing. Before you walk in there, and there's like shelves of just crap, you know, but they're still there. Now you go in there, and it's like now they're not even there anymore. So I do believe that's going to be it's going to be shrinking, and you know, whatever I get, I cherish. Because I was watching Kim from Mid Level Media, and it's funny because I was sitting there, you know, because he was talking about like someone asked him, why do you collect all your movies? You mean you're not going to be able to watch them all? And he says, you know, part of the reason I collected them all too is because I might not be able to get these in 10 years. These movies, some of these movies here, I might not be able to get. You know, I want to have something to hold on to. So I see that. I can understand that. I actually like, yeah, because I know people who would see my collection would sit there and say, you're not going to be able to watch all of these. But part of it is like, you know what? I maybe not, but at least it's up to me if I do or not. You know, I have the option.
Right. Yeah, because how many times do you go to streaming services and they don't have the movie you want to watch? You know.
No, a lot.
Yeah,
a lot, and I can't pay. You know, in the different streaming services the way they are, I can't pay. You know, you get 3 streaming services and you're paying like $90 for that. I think Netflix is up to $20. I know that they're trying to do bargains. You're like, you know, if you sign up now, you can watch like Hulu for like $2 a month for a year. But you know what? It's the same thing. It's like, I can watch Hulu, but I can't. If I see a movie, it used to be you go to watch cable TV. You see a movie on cable, you sit there and say, "Hell yeah, that's a great movie. I'm going to go out there and get it." You can't do that. You don't have that option, or you find it and it's like twice as much money as you would have paid for it if it was on the shelf. So, all right. You know, I would keep you on here longer if I could, but unfortunately, I got to call this because I got to get ready for the next show. This is a double header day for me. Have you done a double header day yet?
Not yet.
You've interviewed 2 interviews in one day?
No, not yet.
Those are fun. We will be talking to we're talking to a group called the Variant Collective at 8 o'clock. It's going to be a lot of fun. There are a ton of creatives, photographers, writers, cosplayers, poets, anything you can think of creatively wise. The Variant is doing, and they're going to be coming here at 8 o'clock. I can't wait. You got to interview a cosplayer. Have you interviewed a cosplayer yet?
I haven't, no, but when I've been going to these kind of Comic-Cons conventions, I always see them and I always admire the amount of work they put into it. It's incredible.
I sent you, and you know, I sent you the picture of Vale, who's like the cat's meow when it comes down to cosplaying. She's fantastic, and that's how I found the Variant. But yeah, I would love to see. I'd like to see an interview with her on your channel. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and you would definitely adore her. She's
Mm,
really good. I enjoy the cosplay. There's a group
me
called
too.
Sneaky Zebra that's from the UK, and they go around
Cool.
to all these different conventions and they film it. It's fantastic. It's one of the
Cool.
coolest things ever. All right, boys
Yeah,
and girls. Here's what's coming up tonight. The variant will be here today at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow night, we will be talking to film director Marissa Vaughn. She'll be here at 8 o'clock. We'll be talking about her career, including her new movie Knee High. Sunday at 3 p.m., we'll be talking to Elizabeth Chamberlain from the movie Grotesque. And she'll be here Sunday. So, and then Monday, the 18th, me and the Cheetah, we will be going back over across the pond to hang out with Gareth from Video Tasties, as he and I will be watching and discussing Van Helsing. That's right, Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale.
nice.
And
That'll be cool.
that would be a lot of fun. I love Van Helsing. I'm glad that he invited me to watch that one. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's awesome. It's an awesome movie. A lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I remember seeing Van Helsing in the cinema back in the day. Wow.
Me too. Me too. I watched it too. I watched it in the cinema. I'm like, this is awesome. I don't like the last 5. I don't like the last 5 minutes of the movie, but up till then, it's just just rock and roll. It's just so much fun.
Right.
Hey, Mr. Bones, how are you? Don't worry, you're not late. Because you can come back at 8 o'clock, because we'll be back at 8 o'clock with the variant. Stay right where you're at, Mike. I'm going to go around and tell everybody to thank you for your support. I appreciate it so much. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the channel. Don't forget to drop a comment if you can, and that will be helpful to the channel as well as hitting the like button. And we'll have Mike come back sometime next year. You can count on that. And a fantastic guest. Why am I not surprised at that, right? Interviewing the interviewer. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging out with us, and we will see you at
Thank you,
8 o'clock.
guys.
All right.
See ya.